Hey guys, this is Corey here with Concert Crap, and I'm here speaking with Matthew Saunders, and we're talking about next the 10-year anniversary of significant albums from 10 years ago, of course. These are albums that came out in '06 that had some kind of significance to us. One of them for me was Escape the Fate. It's more of an EP, wasn't really an album. Dying is your latest fashion. This was, I believe, the first EP that Escape the Fate put out. And Ronnie Radke, of course, was the lead singer then. This is their music was this whole album / EP, whatever the heck you want to call it. This was really big for me because I feel like this EP got me into the post-hardcore, hardcore, metalcore scene. This album was a really big one for me. I don't know if it was for you, but all of these songs I just loved. And they were just so different for me. I loved his voice. I thought they were great. I think I saw them at Warped Tour the next year in '07. That was like my first Warped Tour. I saw them. I thought they were great. And I've loved them ever since, even with Craig Mabbitt on vocals. I don't know if that was for you, but that was for me.
Yeah, they definitely played a significant role with just growing up in high school, getting into the music and that music scene and everything like that. It's funny you mentioned Escape the Fate too, because one of the biggest reasons they went on to make that album and to make waves in the scene in general too is they won a contest that was judged by My Chemical Romance, and they also have a album coming out. Not coming out. Wouldn't that be something?
Anniversary.
Yeah, they have the Black Parade, everybody's favorite album by them.
I was never a big fan of My Chemical Romance, but continue.
Yeah. Regardless if you are or aren't, they definitely made an impact in the community. They're just one of those bands that you can speak the name and then there's just 100 stories that are tied with their name and their songs in general too. But anyways, that album is turning 10 years this year. Doesn't look like the band's getting back anytime soon. So you could probably cancel out 10-year anniversary. Maybe Warner Brothers or whoever is responsible for putting out that album, they'll put out like some re-release 10-year anniversary. One can only hope and assume
vinyl, some special something, just so they can make money off of it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But regardless or not, it's turning 10 years.
Another big one for me, complete 180, I think, from Escape the Fate. Muse, Black Holes and Revelations. I loved album. Muse. I believe I saw that. I didn't see them myself, like at the show, but I streamed a K-Rock concert online. I believe it was. I don't remember the year, but I know it was an almost acoustic Christmas, and I saw them, and they tore the roof off the place. This was just like, oh my god, who is this band? I know one song from them. I need to check them out more. I went to, God, what store was it? It was like Barnes & Noble or something, someplace that sells like books or something. And I bought all three of their first three albums, and I fell in love with them. And then as soon as I started hearing the singles to Black Holes and Revelations, especially Nights of Sidonia, that's still one of my favorite Muse songs. Really good song. Still one of their biggest songs. And they put on an amazing set live, especially that song, one of my favorites to see live. That was a big one for me. Was there any other ones for you?
Just that whole album is just, is a phenomenal piece of work. I mean, like, I feel they put out really good material before then too, but it was that album that people, knew they were going to blow up and people were taking it more serious. Mm-hmm. It's funny when it's funny that you mentioned that album and Muse in general too, because I just had like a flashback to when I was like in middle school, and like the first person that ever talked about him was like my history teacher. And yeah, that's how I found out about him. And then
was he from the UK?
He was not from the UK. No? He was just one of those guys who's fresh out of college. He's like, oh, this is only going to be my temporary job. He's still...
he thought it was cool because he knew the artists before they were big.
Right, yeah. He was one of those guys.
That's how I always feel, too.
He's still there. He's actually teaching my sister right now, too. But, no, it's just, a lot of memories come back just thinking about, like, that incident and just that time in general, too. And also to see Muse's career span from that point on to where they are now, like one of the biggest bands like in the world, and just everything that they've contributed to the entertainment industry and just everything they put out. They're just one of those bands that keep pushing the envelope, just trying to set like a higher standard for themselves each time.
I know this is a big album for most of our listeners probably. I don't know about you. not me. I'm not a big fan of these guys. I never really understood what was the whole thing about them, but I know Brand New's album, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. I know that was like their pinnacle album of like their career, and I'm not the hugest Brand New fan by any means. Like I said, I never really understood why they were so big. I've taken the time to try to get to know them and go through albums. I just couldn't get into them, but the song that I love from them, Jesus, that is my favorite song from them,
it's
like
a beautiful
ever.
Song.
And I don't know if this album has any significance to you. Does it at all?
It really does have a lot of significance now that you mention it too. This was definitely, like you said too, like a pinnacle. I wouldn't say it was like their best album per se, but it definitely was a big turning point in the band. That's when they signed Interscope Records, and for those of you who don't are familiar with the label, it's basically one of the biggest major labels that's out in the scene right now. Like a lot of artists that you're familiar with, whether it be the 1975 or Ellie Goulding or Lana Del Rey, like a lot of their success financially came through that label too, and so that's when Brand New got on that label. I feel like that helped their career definitely a lot. As many of you know, they didn't stay with that label, but regardless, that was a really big point from their career. But moving on to the music, like you said too, like Jesus is a phenomenal song too, and just looking at each song, in perspective, just there's like a lot of emotion, and it definitely was a lot more mature writing in my opinion, because they progressed from Your Favorite Weapon, like their first EP. Oh, yeah. It was like really like punk oriented, like very similar to Taking Back Sunday sound. But then they eventually got to The Devil and God Is Raging Inside Me. It's a very mature, like kind of like how Thrice like evolved from like a very heavy band to like more intricate and like emotionally driven lyrics. So that's definitely how I see that album. But yeah, it's a very good album. Totally forgot it's turning 10, so I'm glad you brought that up.
So for you at home, what significant albums are turning 10 this year? What albums came out in 2006 that had somewhat significance to you guys like they have for us? Let us know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys thumbs up the video and make sure you subscribe to Concert Crap. We'll see you guys next time.